Welcome to another XP Projects. Did you know there's several log cabins at Lagoon? Let's go check them out. Join us today on the XP Project. All right, so these are always great. There's several log cabins back here, and they've got cabins basically of like the different tier of like what type of cabin they would have been back in the day. So we're gonna walk through each of those ones. 3 of them are on the north side of Pioneer Village, and then there is one other one on the south side, so we'll go check that one out right after this. So this one would have been kind of like the mid-tier cabin. So you come in here, this is really cool. They've got you know, the kitchen on one side. You got like your stove and everything, your storage. Look at that little pantry, it's so cool. They got their like wheat and barley hanging from the ceiling, and their weight meat hook. That's really cool up top. Then you come over to the other side here. This would have been like the sleeping quarters. You got the parents' bed over there. Little, what almost looks like an old-timey futon. You got like the little baby's crib and everything. These are really cool. They've got they've actually got a sign here that shows this was the original home of Erastus Bingham, born in 1798, died in 1882, right here in Ogden, Utah, which is really close to Lagoon. And it's kind of cool. You come back here, they've got like a really cool wall of just green here. And then you kind of come around to the outside here. That's the church straight ahead that we saw before, but they've got the little outhouse here. This is really cool. What the outhouse would look like back then. Just amazing to think that would have been kind of the average household back there. So then we're gonna go over to the next one here. This would have been the more high-end house back in those days. And this one's actually called the Gingerbread House, so let's go check that out. This one's just great. It's got like the little porch out front with the seats. And then this is your real high-end house back in those days. I mean, this would have been the really luxurious house back in those days. You got your kitchen over there. Then you've got your main living room area. I mean, most of these cabins didn't have a living room because, you know, you didn't have the money to have that kind of square footage. I love these amazing portraits that are up on the walls. It's so cool. Then you go down a little bit farther here, and then you got the bedroom, got the baby's carriage there next to it. And there's just so much. I mean, you can sit back here and just look around. It's almost like an I Spy book because there's so many little things. I mean, just on every little table, there's just little trinkets, and this is all authentic stuff from back in those, like I said, like somewhere between like the 18 and 1900s. Just an amazing building. And this one actually does have carpet in it. I'm not sure if the carpet would have been around at those times, but then you come out, and again, just a really nice little area. You can sit over here. So this is the Wanship cabin. This was one of the 2-story cabins that they had. This one's actually one of my favorite cabins. To think that they were able to build a 2-story building like this was so cool back in those days. So you got your kitchen over here. Yeah, their pantry and all the storage back behind here. Then if you look over here, this kind of would have been their, you know, living space, quarters. If you're looking, they've got all these super old Utah history books. And that's crazy. This chair right here, there's actually a sign that says this rocking chair was carried across the plains from Navajo, Illinois in 1847. So they carried that all the way across. I mean, just to think that it's in that good a shape still. And then if you come over here, there's a stairway upstairs. The one thing I always mention about this is that the smell in these buildings, it's so such a rustic old smell. You can tell there's age on it. This is just such a cool room here. So they've got the bed over here. They got where the baby would sleep. They got a little baby bed there. That could have been maybe for their dolls. And if you look, you can see the super old toys down there on the ground. Super old stuff over here. And then you can kind of get a good view if you come out here of like the outside. And then there's that gingerbread house that we just walked through. know, the thing that always blows my mind here, I know this is a really cool day right now, but back in the day, these buildings would have gotten so hot during those like mid-July days. I'll always walk into these buildings and you're like sweating 5 minutes after coming in because they're just so hot. And to think that, especially here in Utah, I mean, we get super extreme weather. It's like we get super extreme cold and then super extreme hot. It really would have been a challenge to live back in those days because you'd always be trying to find a way to either cool down or warm up. It's like you couldn't get that that happy medium at any point, you know? You know, as I'm walking down here, it's just a nice quiet day at Pioneer Village, and it's like there's a lot of people back here and there's a lot of kids back here just enjoying the Pioneer Village scene back here, and it just brings such joy to my heart because this is one of those areas of the park that I hope they don't ever get rid of because people aren't interested in. But seeing that there's so many people back here having a good time, it's just, history is just such an important thing for us to see, and I love that they preserve it like this. All right, and then this is the last cabin that's down towards more of the south side. Now, we're not gonna be able to see a ton of this one just because it's so dark in here. Obviously for a reason, they would have wanted these cabins super dark and insulated. But this was kind of more like the hunter's cabin. They've got like the stove there and then the double beds over here, but this is just a super small one. This would have been more like the cabin that they would have had out, you know, out on the trail or out in their hunting grounds. But this one's just so cool. You really should come into this one because there's a lot of detail in here, even though it's super dark. But there's a lot of detail in here. They've got a lot of the hunter's tools hanging from the ceiling and whatnot. Really, really cool stuff. All right, thanks for joining us on another XP Projects Did You Know about the cabins at Lagoon. We'll see you next time.